We have this right triangle. This happens to be a 3, 4, 5 triangle. This is a Pythagorean triple. So x equals 4, just by memory. Or perhaps you remember that c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Our longest side is the hypotenuse, which is 5. 5 squared equals x squared plus 3 squared. Thus, x squared equals 5 squared, which is 25, minus 3 squared, which is 9. X squared equals 25 minus 9, which is 16. Taking the square root of both sides, we have x is 4. Now let's find sine theta. We place our finger here on theta and recall SOHCAHTOA. S, which represents sine, is opposite over hypotenuse, O over H. The opposite is 3, and the hypotenuse is the longest side, which is 5. So this is the correct ratio. Sine, cos, tan are simply a ratio of two sides. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cos theta is adjacent, which is x, which we know is 4, adjacent over hypotenuse, over 5. And tan theta is opposite over adjacent. So from theta, the opposite is 3, and the adjacent is 4. Do not pick 5. That's not the adjacent. That's the hypotenuse. Finally, what is theta? What is the angle? We can use any trig ratio to get the angle theta. It doesn't really matter. Let's try sine theta. We know that sine theta is 3 over 5. We can write 3 over 5. We can even use 0.6, which is also correct. Now, algebraically, you can actually find the angle by hitting the inverse button on your calculator. Algebraically, we take the trig inverse of both sides of the equal sign. So we have the sine inverse of sine theta equals the sine inverse of 3 over 5. And the idea is that the function sine and its inverse, they cancel, revealing theta. If you can't remember that, just remember that theta is revealed by hitting the sine inverse button. Sine inverse of that same fraction, 3 over 5. So theta is sine inverse of 3 over 5. This inverse notation looks like an exponent, but it's not. This has nothing to do with exponents. Similarly, you can also hit the cosine inverse button. We know that cos theta equals 4 over 5. So the angle theta can be revealed by simply hitting the cosine inverse. This cos and this cos has to match. And we find that inverse button by either hitting second or shift on your calculator, and then pressing the actual trig function. So theta equals cos inverse of the same fraction, 4/5. And the answer is going to be the same. Your calculator should say around 36.9 degrees, either as a sine inverse or cos inverse function. Now make sure you're in the right mode. Make sure you're in the degree mode, not the radian mode. And then your number should be correct. We can even hit the tan inverse button. Theta equals tan inverse of the same fraction, 3 over 4. So if the question was theta equals sine inverse of some fraction, what are we even asking? This sine inverse notation refers to an angle. When we see sine inverse, we can focus on sine theta. What does sine theta even mean? It means opposite over hypotenuse. Sine theta is 3 over 5. Now from here, recall that theta is sine inverse of 3 over 5. And so we have the numerator a equals 3 and the denominator b equals 5.